Welcome to the Roost News Podcast, the place for all things volunteer. I'm Judee Barone, co-lead, and today we have a special news brief with our guest, Aisha Bonner-Cozad, who is the Senior Research Manager at AARP, and she will be discussing the revamping of the AARP Volunteer Opinion Survey and how it obtains feedback from its volunteers. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here with you.
So, before we begin, could you just share a little bit how you first joined AARP and what you do in your current position?
Oh, I'd be happy to. Whew, about 20 years ago, my graduate advisor suggested that over the summer I should look for some jobs in gerontology since I was moving from a direct practice social work master's level social worker into a doctoral level program. And I was immersing myself in this new field that I was choosing to enter. So I looked around, and as it would happen, AARP DC state office was hiring an intern. I said, perfect. And I just never left. I came as an intern. I will say I'm very proud of this because there are only, to my knowledge, there are only currently 3 staff members who started as interns and have continued to work at AARP for the remainder of their career. And I'm very blessed to be in that special crew of people.
That's
So,
amazing.
yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So I started in the state office, which is why I have such an affinity for all of our state office and our volunteers, because that's was my first introduction to AARP. They sent me to Colorado to help with a walking audit, and I met all kinds of volunteers, and I just thought, wow, this is an amazing place. And then after about a year or so, I was able to get a position in the research department, and I also haven't left there either for the last 19 years.
Oh,
Uh,
that's excellent.
yeah, and so today I'm a senior researcher. I focus mainly on 2 large bodies of work, our volunteer research, as well as a program of research called Vital Voices, which is how we get updated data to every state office on a 3-year basis. So it takes us 3 years to do it, but we're able to provide state level data for all of our state offices. And so those are my 2 big projects. And then I do, whatever research they need me to do, I'm there for it.
Pardon me. Still very amazing work.
Thank you.
So, as a volunteer,
Mhm.
we have all completed a volunteer opinion survey at one time or another. Two-part question.
Mhm.
Explain what the current survey format is and what specific changes you plan to make and why.
Absolutely. So about 2 years ago, we started the revamp work, and we were very thorough. We interviewed all stakeholders. So all 12 volunteer sort of cadres that exist within the organization were invited to participate. Um, Volunteers and staff, volunteer leaders, volunteers, and then staff across the organization. Really, the goal was we've been doing this survey for 22 years, 24 years now, I believe is accurate. And the survey has not evolved very much. And so we wanted to take a temperature to understand what people needed from the survey so that instead of having people spend their valuable time answering questions that aren't actually making a difference, we wanted to ensure that we were using everyone's time wisely. So we talked to people. What do you need from this? What can we put in front of you that is going to help you improve the volunteer experience, improve offerings, improve onboarding, improve like what do you need to make your volunteers experience even better than what we already do? And I just want to say this on for real. We are amazing. Our volunteers are amazing. OVE is amazing. And if you look at volunteers outside of AARP, just 50 plus volunteers, our volunteers stay with us longer, spend more time with us, are more committed, take on a multitude of roles across the enterprise. I mean, our volunteers are just basically unicorns, magical unicorns. So it's important that we are able to understand the health of our volunteer corps. They are essential to AARP being able to do its work. So that is the purpose of the survey, is to make sure we know what's happening with our volunteers so that we can make adjustments and changes and improvements so that we can continue to make their experience better. So we had all of these conversations. We talked. And where we landed was we still need to be able to talk about volunteerism at AARP at a broad level. We have to be able to do that. The foundation has grants that they have to give information about. The AARP leadership wants to know what's happening. So we have to have some piece of that survey bring us those enterprise level metrics, or KPIs, or how we refer to them. Mm-hmm. But what we heard in the revamp work was that the individual programs need much more specificity than the survey currently provides. Also, we have to include the rest of them, because up until this year, the only 3 cadres that were included in what was the volunteer opinion survey, what is now the volunteer feedback survey, were driver safety, tax aid, and state managed. But we also have Capitol Hill Strike Force, the Ethels, the fraud prevention, we on and on and on and on, right? So we have lots of cadres of LCE, NRTA, right? We got a lot of folks spread out across the enterprise. So the most important thing that's happening is that we are including all volunteers in the survey. So that's the first new thing. Mm-hmm. The next new thing is that we have a core, some questions that are sort of centralized that everybody will answer, but we also have programmatic level questions. So if you get the survey, it's going to ask you, what is your primary volunteer spot? Where is the place that you spend the most time? You will then get that program's set of questions. So LCE has its own set of questions. NRTA has its own set of questions. State Managed has their own set of questions. So in addition to driving people to their specific sort of, I'll say home base, because we have a lot of volunteers who cross over, right? But everybody kind of has a home base. In addition, we're adding some questions that are going to help us be able to segment the volunteer population, right? Let me explain what I mean by that. I think new volunteers probably have a different experience than seasoned volunteers. I expect that volunteer leaders have some different concerns or questions or things that they would want to share with us, maybe different from a volunteer who hasn't had leadership positions. We have to be able, it's not enough to just say, this is what LCE volunteers said. We need to be able to tell LCE, new volunteers said this, seasoned volunteers said this. Your leaders said this, because all of that matters. If we're trying to deliver an individualized volunteer experience, right? Because this is not one shoe fits all. We have to understand the population down to details in order to make sure that whatever experiences new volunteers are having, that we're addressing them, that we understand how their pathway to becoming a seasoned volunteer might have some things that we need to pay attention to in a different way. So, in addition to all of that, we're also adding a qualitative component. Now, this is brand new. We've never done this before. And so we actually have this really fancy, cool platform that allows us to bring people on, talk to them online, and then, wrap all that information up in a really nice summary that we can then deliver. I think that this is going to be a very critical piece, because I'll give you this for instance. We know our satisfaction, our volunteers tell us they are very satisfied. I think in 2024, it was like 89% said that they were extremely or very satisfied. That is fantastic. That's wonderful. But why? Why are they satisfied? I don't know that. I can't tell you why they're satisfied. I can only tell you that they report being satisfied. I need to be able to tell you why. And the
Sure.
qualitative research will allow us to ask, well, you said this. Tell us why you feel that way. And then we will be able to wrap that context around the data, the numbers. And that will make the data just richer and more useful to the staff, who, again, hopefully are going to apply all of these learnings as we, just continue to improve the volunteer experience.
So, a couple of questions.
Sure.
Let's just say, as an example, so I get an understanding about this. Say I put in that the Roost News is my primary,
Mm-hmm.
and I answer some questions. Do I automatically get uh, other questions related to that, or are they because I'm like Lillian, a co-lead? How does that work?
Yeah, so exactly. If when you tell us that, hey, driver safety is my home base, when you get to the program questions,
Mhm.
it will be served up to you. You won't have to do anything. It will be put in front of you. You answer those questions, and that's it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And then at do those say I go through the whole survey and I specify driver safety?
Mm-hmm.
Um, how is that, if you want to say transported, or how does it go to the driver safety people for
Yeah,
their
great.
review?
Yeah, great question. So after all of the data is in, we work with our vendor who helps prepare the deliverables. And so what let me also just preface this by
Hmm.
saying this is our test and learn year,
Sure.
right? This is the first, we're doing something very new. So we're going to be testing. I don't want to promise that everything that happens is necessarily going to happen in 2027. We got to kind of see how it all works out. But
Understood. Right.
what we're going to do is each program will receive a fact sheet, right? So a couple page report that talks about the data on their program. Everybody will get the sort of general, the core questions. Everybody will have access to that data, but we are prepared. There will be individual reports for
Hmm.
each of the cadres that are being included.
Okay,
And
great.
so that will be shared directly with the staff of those programs.
So you were talking about 2027. Do you anticipate this being in place in 2027? And also, are you going to do like beta testing? Will you try it out? on
So
some
that's this year.
volunteers?
This
Oh,
year
that's
is
this year.
our
Okay.
this year is our test and learn year. So
Okay.
we plan to be in the field by the end of May. So very soon, people should start checking your inbox. You
Okay.
should start to see emails coming through, letting you know that, hey, this is about to happen. Look in your inbox. And just so people know, there are a lot of reasons that we are transitioning from a mail survey to an online survey.
Hmm.
But realistically, we have to be good stewards of Ethel's money. And
Hmm.
mail surveys have become unbelievably expensive. I
Oh,
don't even
yeah.
want to say
Right.
any numbers. Just think about the cost of a first class stamp, right?
Yes.
And then
Right.
multiply that by 60,000 volunteers. So we have to move away from the paper.
Hmm.
And also, that's not sustainable, right? We want to, be good stewards in every way that we can. But we are going to be using a postcard this year. So if you miss the email, if you can't
Hmm.
find it, it went to your spam, don't fret. We are going to be sending out postcards for those people. So we track this survey. So when you respond, we know that Lillian responded to the survey, right? And then we take Lillian off the list.
Okay.
So as we go through the fielding period, people who we're not hearing from might also be sent a postcard to encourage them. So look out for the postcard, start checking your inbox, towards the last week of May, and folks should be seeing the invite for the survey.
That's great. And that's very timely. So I'm
Yeah.
glad we're doing it now so people are aware of it.
Yes. Yeah, this is perfect.
So after all that, is there anything else that you want to add that just make sure people are aware of?
I think the most important thing I could share with the volunteers is through doing the revamp work, what I saw from the AARP staff is a real interest, a sincere interest, a sincere desire to ensure that volunteers are getting everything they need. I know I've already said it, but I'll say it again. We don't work as an organization without our volunteers. We would
Mhm.
not have the reach. We would not be able to do that beautiful taking Capitol Hill, volunteers in red shirts, shredding, volunteers, teaching people, volunteers reaching out. Like there are not enough staff to do this work. And so I was so impressed at how seriously all of the staff, I mean, I had VP level people in focus groups answering my questions about volunteers. Like people took it seriously. They
Mhm.
want this survey to give them information so that they can be better staff for our volunteers. So if you think that we aren't looking at the survey, if we're not looking at the data, if we're not trying to make sense of it, I just want to share how sincere staff were during this process and wanting to make the survey better and wanting to make it more useful. So please know we take this very seriously, very seriously. And I'm excited to see us move into this period where I think the survey will work better, that we'll be able to make the kind of changes that the volunteers want and need in more timely way. We'll
Mhm.
be able to tell you about it better, right? Like we will have more information to share with you about what we're doing and how you said this, we did this, right? Like it's going to be a very clear throughput line. And I think that is going to make everybody feel better about the whole process. So I'm really excited and I'm looking forward to hearing from volunteers. Like this survey is for staff, but it is 100% for volunteers. So you guys know who I am. You can always reach out to me if you have questions or concerns. Don't hesitate. I'm this is my job. Also, I think I come from a very strong volunteering household and family, so it's important to me for personal reasons as well.
Excellent. Well, I think with your enthusiasm and excitement that anybody who watches it, and maybe it should be required, so we're going to think about that.
All right, cool.
But I really think that to make them more aware, they're going to be, all the volunteers will be more excited to fill out what is not now a traditional opinion
Absolutely.
survey. It's going to
Yeah.
be a new and exciting survey. So
Yes.
thank you. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Absolutely. Absolutely my pleasure. Bring me back. I'll tell you how it's going. We can
That's
keep
a great
talking about
idea.
this.
Thank you. No, that is a wonderful idea. We'll note
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, please do.
And also, as always, thank you to our audience. We encourage you to subscribe, like, and share the Roost News Podcast YouTube channel or listen to us on your favorite audio platform. We are here to tell your stories. And on behalf of the Roost News Podcast team, we thank you.